Amazing. Welcome everyone to today's absolutely fantastic video. We have Prakhar and Preeti here, and they run an absolutely fantastic agency. They've been inside in Velocity for almost 1.5 years, which is pretty dope. And yeah, they're just sick people or great people, but sick people sounds wrong. And they're here to a little bit share their past 1.5 years, what they've been doing, what they've been up to, how everything has been working on. So thank you for being here. How are you doing, guys?
Pretty great, man. How are you?
Doing really
Doing
well.
great.
Doing really well. Boom. So to kick everything off, you want to give a quick overview of what kind of an agency you run, how long you've been running it for, what does the business look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. So we are in a B2B lead generation agency. We implement a lot of like AI and automation solutions into businesses to help them scale their outbounding process, help them with customer acquisition, help them start sales conversations with enterprise companies. We have been doing this for about I think a year and a half, like right about when we like joined AV. I did have a clue before joining AV that what we wanted to do, but to give us direction and like to have a formalized offer. It's been around a year and a half since we've been doing this. For us, starting out, the niche was AI SaaS, which we have kind of like been excelling at. And now we are about ready to kind of like go beyond that, try like other niches, experiment with that. And as we are learning more about the new AI tools and things coming out, more outbounding tools like Clay, we've been implementing those, learning those and implementing those on our journey so
That's
far.
super
Yeah.
fire. That's super fire.
Mhm.
So when you guys joined, I remember you were like pretty much in the beginning stages, but did you have any like building block set or did you start from scratch when you joined or what did it look like?
Um, I had some previous cold outbound experience when I worked with a YC company, but it wasn't technical at all. We were sending from Apollo and like using Apollo as the sending platform, like Smart Lead, and things didn't exist. So it was very basic. I had like an understanding and I had some initial success because cold email wasn't really that well known or a thing. But coming into AV, it was a lot of things that, like in terms of technical things that we learned pretty quickly.
That's super
For
fire.
me, I'll say the experience was a little different because like my background being a software engineer at the YC company, we used to work together. So I used to implement a lot of email workflows for them using Twilio and SendGrid for their customer interactions and things like that, but nothing on the cold email side of things. So I work with a lot with email per se and like the infrastructure itself, but never as much in terms of like acquisition
Mhm.
before.
You had like the perfect combination in terms of skills before starting out, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah,
And I've actually heard, I
that's
don't know if
why.
this is, yeah, what I was gonna say, I've actually heard, but I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that YC Combinator recommends people to use Apollo for email sending. Did you see this or? I've heard this from
So
prospects.
yeah, they have a few people that were kind of their like consultants, and then those people would come in and they would help people set things up, and their process was super manual. Like they told us we had to set up inboxes manually, and they had bought these domains and everyone had to set up two inboxes, and then they had to set up free inboxes that were then going, so essentially they were creating like a warm-up pool but
Oh, really?
doing it all manually. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Damn.
So it was like on a weekly basis we had to sit together on like a Zoom chat because this was all virtual, and then we would create these free inboxes for us, and then we would reply and send emails, and then back and forth, and then everyone would reply to everyone else's. It was a mess.
Damn, that's hardcore. I remember years ago we used to subscribe to like random newsletters that companies
Mm,
had as like the warm-up process and just have like bunch of newsletter emails. So that's super funny.
yeah.
Great. So obviously you guys had like a really cool background, pretty well like complementing each other as well when starting out. Um, and a lot of skills, a lot of experience. do you remember, was there any specific thing that you really came for when you came into AV? Like, what were you specifically looking for when you joined? Because I think you guys are clear, smart people. You probably could have figured it out on your own as well.
Yeah, I would say for me, I was already looking into acquisition channels, but never thought about email being one of those because I was looking at e-com and things like that. So I thought like email marketing belonged in the e-com world, but
Hmm.
never as much in the B2B world. And I think I remember like coming across your videos while doing my research because like after I quit software engineering, I was wanting to start my business. I was spending like quite a bit of time just like exploring business models and things like that. And looking into email marketing, I feel like I came across your channel and your story, I feel like struck a chord with me. I was like, oh, damn, I've had the experience of working with B2B companies. I built out the tech, and apparently it seems like a pretty solid acquisition channel, like especially for early stage startups and things like that, because they don't necessarily have a clear offer, clear messaging, and things like that, and of that nature. And you could help them dial that in. And with the experience, it should be like solid to do that. So what I really wanted was I knew like some of the tech, but I wanted like just some handholding, like so that I don't have to think much about it. I can just execute based on my previous experience and like take guidance from you guys because there's a lot of tools like now in the industry itself and like with the nature of like email itself. And I didn't want to spend the time to figure it out how the sequencing of different things work out, how to do the offers, how to put the infrastructure together, what's new, what's working the best. Because coming from the software world again, I know that things change fairly fast, and I did not want to spend another 6 months just learning all of those things. So I feel like that was kind of nice to just have a step-by-step process and someone to ask questions because like I feel like mentorship is like a great way to learn things. So that's what I came in for.
Yeah. For me, I was looking for more of a community. You can probably see on Slack, I'm very active compared to Prakhar. So I like to kind of just keep sharing what I know and ask questions. And so for me personally, I was looking for the community aspect and then also to shorten the learning curve because I knew kind of the basics of how things would work. And I had used Pipedrive. I had like integrated APIs like from Apollo to Pipedrive and do all of that stuff. But I just needed kind of like a structure of what more could I do. And yeah, and AV was like a perfect place for that because we had always been the type of people that would buy like mentorships and buy different programs when we wanted to learn more about a certain thing because it also helps us to know if that thing is for us or not because we
Mhm.
go like deep into it rather than just super surface level, don't really invest anything, and then we can't know if this is for us or not. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have to say, like one of the favorite messages. I don't know. I don't think you've been posting them lately, but the quotes that you've been posting in the mornings, those are
Yeah.
like amazing. Um, that's fire. So honestly, from your perspective, do you think that those are obviously the things that you joined AV for, but after being in AV for over a year, did those things come true? Did you actually get those things that you joined for, or was it something different?
I would say absolutely yes. And I feel like we got more in the sense like the community is solid because like I remember from one of the calls like with Rob, like your partner, he mentioned that you guys want to operate the business as a clan, and that's the sense I kind of like saw evolving altogether because it does operate like a clan. It's not like just a coaching program, just a mentorship program, because the entire community kind of like chips in with whatever they learn, and that kind of exceeded my expectation in the sense that sometimes I was learning a lot more quickly just from the exchanges that were happening within different type of like channels, different questions being asked and things like that. And everyone's just like super friendly, which like I appreciate. Sometimes I act like a shadow, don't really say much, but like I'm always like keeping an eye out on like what's happening, what's going on in terms of like who's sharing what, wins, new tools, questions being asked, challenges being addressed. And that exchange in itself, I feel like has been super powerful within the community. And I feel like the positive vibe that the entire community has of like just like the kinship and just helping each other out, just celebrating each other's wins, just pushing each other, even beyond just the virtual space, meeting like together with people in person. We met Peter in Mexico, you know. So all these things have just been so great. And this was I've been part of different communities and still am, but like this was the first time where I felt that I could extend my relationship with people just beyond the virtual space and actually call them good friends and learn and
Yeah.
actually have fun with them. Yeah.
That's so nice to hear, man. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
It's obviously been a girl.
Yeah. So for me, we've definitely like if you talk about ROI, we've definitely made like I don't even know the exact number, but 10, 20 times the initial investment. So that's really great. And it's one skill that whoever we speak to, when we're kind of introducing ourselves, like say at the gym or something, like everyone is always talking about how like this is one skill that's going to take us really far. And we already see that in, the year and a half that we've been with you guys. The community has been absolutely great. It's nice to have kind of different elements of AV have really like exceeded my expectations. For example, like RAS, I love that we can submit a request and one of the coaches who clearly is an expert at that specific situation is able to help. And then a chat with Rob to just kind of get clarity on where we are and how things are going and how we can kind of hit our goals and move forward. All of those little things and just people in the community offering to kind of talk one-on-one, even though they get like nothing out of it, but they're like willing to do it. And so that's been something really good, and that's something that I've done as well for people whenever I see someone new come in. So that way we can, kind of keep passing that along to everyone new that comes in. So yeah, that's been one of my favorite aspects.
That's super nice. I'm really glad to hear that. So now obviously like the big question is after 1.5 years from starting from pretty much scratch, what does your agency look like currently? What kind of revenue numbers are you doing? How does the whole thing look like? What's the situation there?
So in terms of revenue, we have been consistently getting past 10K, I would say. And now to this month, like January, I think we're gonna like cross 20. And then the plan is to like hit 50 as soon as possible because I feel like it's a compounding effect. Because the moment we figured out one acquisition channel, like email being one, we knew how to like implement, like we figured how to implement others and like make that more powerful and how to like provide more value to our clients. So we have been upselling clients into different things. We've been figuring out different marketing channels even for their clients and things like that. So I'm pretty positive that we can like go beyond like even 30K, like hit 50K and things like that now. And we are expanding our like services and of that nature too because I feel like after email being the bedrock, now we know how to scale because a lot of the things that we learned in AV in the sense like how to sell to people, how to create offers, how to like increase lifetime value, all of those things like came in handy. And then we don't have to start from scratch every time we have to think of something new to like add to our service. So like in terms of like being able to provide value to our clients, it's only ever increasing. And now we know how to package things differently, how to like talk to different people, how to speak to their pain points. All of those things that we learned have been coming in super handy to help us not only increase our MRR, because that's of course the goal for our agency, but then also be able to take our offers to market, test them quickly, and provide value to like our clients and things like of that nature. So
That's super dope. Yeah. And I think like you said, it's like really compounding. I agree with that. I think like going from 0 to 10 is equally as hard and time consuming than going from 10 to like 50. Like we see this over and over again. Like you first like going from 0 to 10 is like have to learn everything, figure everything out. But once you get that validation, it's like then it's just like more reps, more time, and then of course fixing some backend stuff, fixing the team, all that stuff. Yeah, that's
yeah.
super cool. So one thing that I'm always really interested about asking, especially in these cases where your background is already really solid, you already have a lot of like things figured out before you join. What do you think the impact of being an agent velocity has been? Because there's no doubt that you would have figured it out 100% on your own, surely. So what do you think has been like the biggest impact in being inside? What would have happened if you weren't inside? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, I'll say like I have a pretty clear idea on that. Like it's like two things for me, saving time and getting into a mentality and what the lifestyle looks like of a person who operates that kind of business. Like that's why I feel like mentorship and like even the community comes in handy because then you can absorb information from the outside of the technical things, but as to and like you can also save time learning like firsthand from people. But the bigger thing I'll say is getting into the mindset, even the belief systems. On top of that, how does a person operate their day to day? What kind of activities they are doing from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed? What are they thinking about? I feel like that only happens in conversations, which is just so hard to absorb from the internet or even from watching YouTube videos where there's you kind of like focus on just one person and their experience, and there's not necessarily an exchange and back and forth and no feedback. But when you are surrounded by like other people who are like-minded again, it's a word that's being thrown around, but I don't think people understand the concept behind it because like you kind of start to operate on a same mindset. So you kind of like know what to do. There's clarity in that. And then once you start to execute those things, once you start to get evidence of like, okay, this is how it works, that starts to like produce results. So I feel like there's a time aspect. You cut down on time of learning and then knowing exactly like what to do, how to perform those activities, which I feel like goes beyond just the technical information. So those two things have been very benefiting for me.
Yeah, I feel if we weren't in AV, I to get our first client would have taken us much longer. It took us about 3 months, like 90 days, given that we started kind of Q4 and then there were like holiday season and um, we did some noob things of like not running campaigns and doing all of that stuff. So now that, in hindsight, it was also stupid. Um, but yeah, it would have taken us much longer. And I see some people that, kind of started with that have same backgrounds as us that also started the same service, but they didn't go into a mentorship and they quit and just stuck to whatever they knew and were good at. But we stuck it out and figured it out. And I feel like I see that stark contrast because, like, they're also a couple, we're also a couple, worked essentially at similar companies and like had pretty much the same experience. But that one aspect of not getting mentorship versus us joining AV, I can really see like how quickly they gave up versus like how we had the community to kind of just, be around and see like, okay, this takes a little bit, a little bit of time. And also like if you keep going and if you keep working on things, like you will improve. So that was huge. And I saw it like firsthand with someone very comparable that we know.
That's nice. That's really cool. As the last question, what I always want to ask is, first of all, would you recommend agent velocity to someone else? And if you would, who do you think an agent velocity is fit for? Because obviously not for everyone. Who should go ahead and try it out?
I would say absolutely, like 10 on 10. And it can be for different types of people, but the most fitting person that I see more in AV is like someone who's kind of like starting new. They need a lot of like help in terms of like also like a kind of like a brotherhood kind of like environment where they're not only learning, but they are also getting help in terms of their mindset, like their beliefs. Because when you're starting a new business, like being in a job and feeling an imposter syndrome is another thing, and starting your own business, not getting paid and feeling that imposter syndrome like 10x is that like fear factor, you know? So I feel like for people who are just starting fresh, they have not been in the industry for so long, where we've had a lot of wins. We've made like quite a bit of money before, and we still had that fear. But I feel like for someone new, like someone younger who's just starting out, they don't have much experience. I feel like they just need people around them that can help them feel that those wins and kind of embed that feeling in them without them having to feel like frustrated and all of those things. Because there will be times you will feel that regardless of how good you are. But if you have no experience and if you have no contrast, then you need other people to be guiding you on that like journey. And like so that's the first group. And the second group is like if someone just wants to figure out like how to like use email as an acquisition channel because like there's technical knowledge. So even if you have been a successful person in whatever field, and if you just want the skill, then of course there's the technical and just the knowledge aspect of it. And you have the community and you have the consultants and coaches to kind of like ask questions and get those answers out from. So there's both of those like people I'll say could benefit from like AV.
Yeah, I would also absolutely highly recommend anyone that's on the fence to join. For me personally, I think someone who has some sort of understanding of like customer acquisition, but they just don't know how to set up cold email as a channel and set up like Clay workflows and things like that, or like LinkedIn stuff and automations and things, they would really benefit from joining AV. I've seen other customer acquisition programs, and I feel like AV definitely is one of the best when it comes to cold email. And like I would say that like 1,000 times.
Thank you.
Because I've seen how good like the level is and how good like the coaches are. Like ML Jack, everyone's really good. Everyone's a Clay expert. Other communities that I've, spoken to their R&D people and they're like, oh, what's Clay? I'm gonna look into it. And being around ML and Jack, like I was also able to become a Clay expert and get inbound leads from that. So that's just another plus that I wouldn't have like come across and wouldn't have been able to get because I think they only take like 100 people. And since Emil and Jack are also like enterprise experts, it's great to be able to kind of be around those people. So yeah,
that is true.
1,000% recommend.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's like it's true when you spend time with Damon and Jack, I think you naturally gravitate towards like the Clay Experts page. You just suddenly find your face there, just become immersed. But that's super dope, amazing. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for everything that you said. Thank you for your time. Thank you for doing this. And for anyone watching, go check out Agent Velocity and join or don't. Take care. Bye.